Hello, and welcome back to Asian Pulse. I'm your host, Shivangni Naiker, and thank you for tuning into Asian Pulse Television. As the COVID-19 pandemic rapidly sweeps across the world, it is inducting a considerable degree of fear, worry and concern in the population and among certain groups in particular, such as older elders, care providers, and people with underlying health conditions. For the level of loneliness, depression, harmful alcohol and drug use, self-harm and suicidal behavior is also expected to rise. If you feel lonely, always talk to someone. If you don't want to talk to your friend or family, you can call the crisis line at 604-872-3311 or the Fraser Health Crisis Line at 1-877-820-7444. COVID update. Now it is safer for pregnant women to get vaccinated. Also, Pfizer has been approved for children over the age of 12 to get their vaccination. We have millions of vaccinations coming weekly, so there is no shortages of receiving the vaccination. You can register and get your vaccination. I'll be right back from words from our sponsors. Camilla will be talking to Shireen Chandria, who is our coach and mentor, who is here to talk about his own experience getting into gangs and drugs. But he realized it quickly and got out of it. So have a look.
Studios, it's my pleasure to bring to you Shannon Sharanya. He's a mentor, he's a coach. You might have seen him in mainstream television. And today we will talk about something that nobody wants to talk about. And they think it doesn't exist. But I think without talking about it, we will not get to the root of the problem and be able to resolve or be able to talk about it. So I have invited Coach Sharanya to come and talk about, first of all, his own experience of every week or every third day drive-by shooting, guns, gangs, and drugs. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Before I start talking about what's happening right now, I want to know about you. Give you a little bit background about your own self.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I work as a coach, and I've been doing that for 7 years now, professionally. And before that, I used to own a Tim Hortons, which I kind of went on a wild chase to try and get some financially secure establishment, which was Tim Hortons. But I had no passion in it, so I gave that up and went into coaching. Mm-hmm. And at a very young age, when I immigrated with my family here, when I was 11 years old, I faced a lot of confusion, faced a lot of bullying, and didn't know how to react to it. So one thing leading to another, I got involved in drugs and gangs very, very early. 13 years old I started, I think, and by 15 I dropped out of school, and by 16, 17, 18 I was deeply, deeply involved in it. And I started to get out of that life about 23 years of age when my parents' house was shot up, and they were inside. So that shook me up and it woke me up. And thankfully, after that, I made the decision to get out of that lifestyle, which alone took me 4 years to get out, because it's not an easy way to get out. So I'm feeling very grateful that I did get out and made my way into doing what I do now.
So how did you get recruited? Did you got recruited while you were in school, or you want to belong? You were kind of rejected because you were immigrant, like you came, and how does that happen?
Yeah, so I think nowadays it's quite different in terms of how it was for me back then. This was over 20 years ago, right, for me. So the scene was a little bit more different. And when I say that, and I speak in the terms of, I was genuinely looking for a sense of belonging. Because like you said, I was rejected as an immigrant, and I didn't know how to react to my surroundings, right? Culture shock and language shock, and I dressed differently, I talked differently, I looked differently. And so I was looking for that sense of belonging wherever I could find it, and I found it with some boys, with hanging out with the boys and getting into fights, where there was some common sort of likability that all of us look for. And I say that even nowadays, even adults look for a sense of belonging, whether it's in a corporate culture or on Facebook and Instagram, you see it all the time. So that sense of belonging, when we're looking for it very unconsciously, can work really against us, especially if we're young youth, we're just growing up.
And somebody who is newcomer to the country.
Exactly.
Where there is accent and you don't belong, you don't wear those fancy, expensive clothes and things like that. And another thing I was going to ask you, because I do have grandkids in school and all that, does the teachers, principal, and counselors, like if your mind is not there, you are just sitting in the classroom, you are thinking about something else, that when 3 o'clock come, I'm going to meet somebody, I'm going to hang out and all that. Does those people can pick up your behavior?
Yeah, I think so. There's a huge improvement since I was in school. I think there's a lot more awareness with teachers and counselors and even parents as well. And I think that if they create a genuine relationship and have the genuine interest and point their attention towards this youth, they can definitely pick up on their behavior. But what I think is lacking that I see nowadays that is not so highlighted or talked about is what to do when you pick up that behavior. Because what we do as a culture is we're so quick to punish people or tell us what's going on. We know something is wrong. And that's not inviting for a youth, you know? So yes, to pick up behavior is great, to point our attention there and become more aware, but to also invite them into a conversation, like what's going on with you, and talk to us, we're here to help you, and genuinely create a safe place for them to speak, because then they will come to us when they face something, a crisis or some anxiety, maybe some bullying. They'll go to the first person that comes to mind they trust, and if they see us as somebody who's always correcting them, they won't come to us. They will go to the boys or the group.
So when you were in that school, in that class, if the teacher or somebody picked on you that you are absent-minded, you are just sitting in the classroom, your mind is not here, if the teacher or a counselor would have come and pick on you and just say, can you come in and let's talk. I see that you are not bringing your homework, you're not doing your homework, you are capable of doing all that, but would you have stayed away from gang if you have that relationship with your teacher?
I think the possibility of staying away is increased, definitely.
Okay.
You know, so if there is a circle for a young youth, whether male or female, if there's a circle of people in their lives that they could trust, that they could speak to, they could be older siblings, they could be mom and dad, it could be counselors, it could be teachers, but then their possibility is increased of staying away from that life. And one of the most common things I see that is very helpful, that again is maybe subtle and underrated, is that we're not speaking to kids about what they want to do. We're speaking to kids about what they shouldn't do. You know, don't do this, this is bad. Don't do that, this is bad. But what is it that they want to do? And if we tease out and draw out their curiosities, ask them about their passions and help them develop those passions, help them develop a direction towards their passions, again, increased possibility to stay out of that lifestyle.
So, okay. So once you got recruited in the gangs, money started coming, and you felt much better about yourself, that I can go, I can spend the money, I can pick up any girl I want, I can drive a fancy car. Was that all these things was self-satisfying for you?
Absolutely. There is no denying that. The glamour comes with it, and when you're handed a bunch of money, a very large amount of money and cars and gold and, you know, fancy dinners all at once, then it's very, very tempting. And we are all human, so we're going to be seduced by the temptations that are in front of us. But we don't, especially as youth, we don't have the foresight. You know, as youth, our brains are not fully developed yet. I think a male's brain is fully developed at age 24.
Yes.
Right? So before that, it's an underdeveloped brain that we're dealing with. And so, of course, they have no foresight, so they're going to be tempted by the short-sighted glamour that comes with it. And that's why I say, again, that if we can give them direction, if we can give some youth some direction and draw it out of them, not telling them what we think their direction should be, but work with them and have them tell us, you know, what are your issues? Like, genuinely, what are your issues? Instead of us going, here's what I think your issues are. And let them be the experts and tell us what their issues are, and then we can create the resources to support them.
Right.
You know, and I find that youth are in a stage, early development stage, which we all have been, where we're very bold in whatever we're attempting to do, right? If you look at in sports, if, for example, 17 to 23-year-olds, they're the best soccer players, the best hockey players, right? That's where they're very bold and daring.
Yeah.
So if a youth gets a direction, any direction, they'll be bold and daring. You give them sports, they'll be bold and daring. You give them gangs and guns, they'll be bold and daring.
So did your parents picked up that you are not the same person and you are not interested in school? You want to drop out of school, and did they pick that up on you, and did they talk to you? What's going on?
Yeah, they absolutely did many times. But they did the best they could with whatever knowledge they had, and they were facing their own culture shock. They were very new in this country too.
They have to work and bring the money.
Right. On top of that, they were doing shift work, so they weren't always around because they're trying to put food on the table and they're sacrificing their time to do that, which didn't allow the chances for the possible connection between us to deepen. And when they realized I was kind of going astray, I think they became really scared. Like, oh my God, what should we do? Should we kick him out? Because if we kick him out, he might end up worse.
Yeah, or jail or something.
Right?
Yeah.
Or should we find out what's going on and be a little bit more lenient? Well, as a kid, when I saw the leniency, I was like, it's a great time to take advantage.
Yeah, right.
So I got worse.
Yeah.
But again, like I said earlier, I'm very lucky to come out of that lifestyle because I didn't grow up in a household where there was alcohol and drugs or fighting between parents or divorce or any of that.
Yeah.
It was just
stable family.
It was very stable, very loving family.
Hardworking and newcomers to this country, and they want to build up their home or what have you. So, I mean, it's a very loving, kind family you come. I was going to also say, so you said somebody, what wake you up was drive-by shooting or gun or whatever at your parents' house.
Right.
So it's not like you are only in danger, but your parents could be in danger as well. Everybody could be killed here, and I am that person. Maybe they're looking for me.
Right.
So that was your wake-up call.
That was my wake-up call, yes, absolutely. The neighbors could have been in danger,
Yeah.
There was 6 shots fired in the home. Everyone was home. Nobody was injured. I don't know till this day how. But
when the police came and did their investigation and all that, they found that did they find out that they were looking for you?
No, the police, I don't think till this day have found out who did it, which was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But they knew what I was up to in the sense that I was known person. So, it was like, okay, it's related to this guy.
Yeah.
My friends at that time found out who it was within 5 hours of it happening.
Yeah.
The police couldn't find out. So it's a real underworld,
Yeah.
And but going back to what woke me up was I was really shameful.
Yeah.
That's what woke me up. I realized, my God, my parents have brought me here to do something good with my life.
Yeah.
They've sacrificed themselves to bring us up in a better country with better opportunity, and here is what I've brought home.
Yeah.
So I was extremely ashamed of myself, and that helped wake me up.
So now, you have been there, you have seen it, you got out of here. Thank God, it's a wake-up call for you. You are alive.
Yeah.
You are a mentor now. You can go in the schools. You can talk to the kids. Look at me. I used to be that, but who I am right now. What do you say? And the gang life or drive-by shooting and killing has increased a lot right now that you hear every day, and I hear, and I freak out. What is motivating? What is happening right now? Is it because we are under pandemic? Has pandemic anything to do with all these things that's happening right now? Or if there was no pandemic, this would have happened? Or
Yeah, so I think the violence it would have still happened as far as I see it. But I think the pandemic definitely has contributed in people's lives in many ways. Suicide for youth is up. Addiction is up. We have record-breaking numbers in addiction and suicide in just the last year. Mental health issues are up, record-breaking numbers. So isolating people has driven them to maybe reacting to their negative thinking a little bit more than they probably would. So that has a contribution to it. What I see in the South Asian community over and over again more is the lack of emotional connection that's at home. And for me, that is um, the, the, the inner world that we are not talking about. The external world is good and visible, you know. We can get them into sports, great. We can get them in direction into their passions, great. What about their inner world? What are they going through? How are they feeling? Is there somebody they can speak to? And to me, if there's no emotional connection, it can really blossom into negative patterns, negative behaviors that we're seeing, very dysfunctional behavior.
So if we are not able to support or give that support to our children at home, because either we as parents or grandparents don't have that time to sit down with them and just, it's not that I'm sitting with them, it's heart-to-heart talk.
Yes.
You know, you have to open up. You can be vulnerable as well. You know, you
Absolutely.
can talk about your feelings, and then because they can trust you and they can start opening up.
Absolutely.
Do you think
Yes.
that is missing in our South Asian families right now?
Yes.
That we do not have that kind of one-to-one connection?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, generally speaking, the majority of our culture is not used to that. It wasn't mainstream in our culture growing up. Times have changed, the world has changed. Everyone's talking about their feelings. You know, our culture needs to address that as well and assimilate to that. But it's not that it's a duty. It's not that we should do that so that we can save them. It's that we should do that because we love them. And whoever you love, you have a connection with, and you have these genuine conversations with.
So Shannon, I was going to ask you, if me, for suppose I am a provider in the house, I work one job, two job, when the kids are small, I just make sure they have food, they have roof over their head, they have clothes to go to school, they have shoes and everything. So I'm a provider. And I don't have that one-on-one time to spend time with them because I'm working and I'm thinking about I want to raise my children that will have the best of everything that I as a parent didn't have in the second world, third world countries, wherever I came from. But when my kid is 13, 14 years old and I see a behavioral changes, that they don't want to come home, their friends are the bigger picture in their life, can I still have that relationship with my kid when I ignored them for last 10, 12 years because I was too busy working, bringing the money, and now I'm relaxed a little bit.
Yeah.
And now I want to build that one-to-one relationship with my child. Can that happen? Or just because it did not happen in the past, you will not be able to connect with your child?
No, it can absolutely happen. It's never, ever too late to begin a conversation in a different direction, to build genuine connection with each other. It's never too late to do that. And I think in my own experience of being a coach, working with families, with youth, with business owners, that is across the board. No matter what kind of business a person is into, what kind of career they have. I've worked with barbershop owners to scientists, you know. The lack of emotional connection is the number one thing people have within themselves that they need to work on. And when they start looking in that direction, it makes a huge difference right away. So it's never too late. I encourage all the parents and all the adults to have that kind of relationship with their families. And if they don't know, then they should reach out. They should reach out to a mentor, coach, or counselor. We have so many resources. And I do a lot of free work with families and youth as well. So I'm happy to help and happy to share what I know so that people can expand their knowledge, go back into their house with it.
So last time I was going to call you, but you had an appointment with the family.
Yes.
So that family was there. I don't know who the family is, but the child and the parents, everybody were ready to talk to you. Even the child was going to open up to you what's happening or where he's leading towards. So when you have a meeting like that with the family, are they honest with their feelings and talk to you?
Yeah, so that's such a good question. It's a work in progress, you know. We're looking at two different generations that are quite apart. They're not even just one to the second generation. I think the parents and how the youth are now are 3 or 4 generations apart because the generations are growing so fast, right? So if we're taking that example of the family I spoke with, I'm speaking with the mom and dad, and they're expressing themselves, and I'm speaking with the youth, and they're expressing themselves. Now everyone's holding back a little bit because I can leave and they'll still be together, so they have to, right? But gradually when we work together, we want to work towards how they're going to communicate with each other,
Yes.
what they're going to bring to the table, what they find important, and get them away from reacting so much,
Yeah.
right? Because we're so quick to react to our emotions, we forget that that's not a functional and a productive conversation. Productive conversation is to get a direction into what we want this family to be like. So if they want deeper connections, if they want genuine relationships with each other, we set that on the table and we move towards that.
Okay.
And yes, it's a work in progress. It's not perfect. Some people are
So
going to
you
react
talk
some-
to them, separate the parents and the child, and then because you've become a mediator in that, right? So
Yeah.
whatever they told you in confidence, whatever they keep it, but you talk to them to see how you can come together on the table and try to work things out. So what is happening? You go to schools too?
I do. I do speak in schools. Yeah, I've been doing that since April 2018. Yeah. So right now it's over Zoom. So I did a couple this month with Kids Play Foundation.
Yeah.
You know, I've been part of them as well.
Yeah.
As that progresses, and hopefully we get the vaccines out and everyone gets back to regular life, I'll be going more into schools
So
in
do
person.
you think the gang violence, whatever is right now happening every weekend, every second or third day, do you see this coming to an end, in control or something, or there is no way? Where do you see this thing going, and how many lives we have to lose before it's a wake-up call for our own community?
Yeah. No, it's true. I see the 90s repeating themselves right now, you know, in the South Asian community. So it is concerning, but I think there's many factors to look at. One is, of course, policing, and they have to do their job, and law enforcement is necessary. Parenting, parents have to take on a role a little more than they have been doing. And I'm generalizing, I'm not saying, you know, everyone's bad or some people are good and some people are bad. But generally speaking, maybe there has to be more of an involvement from parents. And what their role can be is what we have been talking about, building a genuine connection, having genuine conversations, and asking the youth, what is it that you're facing and how could we shape our resources to provide the help that you need?
And how could I help, right?
Exactly.
So you are talking to both, male and female, both?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
And there is a risk of women, younger women, get recruited in the gangs as well.
Yeah.
Because why do you see that young women, we see more and more now, getting recruited with the gangsters or with the gang members?
Yeah, so there's a variety of reasons for that. I think, you know, one of the reasons is there's a lot of male cops, and if there's a female in the cars, they can hide the drugs for the males, and the male cop cannot search female, and
Yeah.
there's variables to that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think women
So
get...
they are being used.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even the males are being used. They just
Yeah.
don't know it. They think, you know, when we're that young and we're driving a nice car, we think we own the world, but somebody's on
Yeah.
top of us,
Yeah.
running the puppet strings on us as well. So everyone is being used in some way. But I think the females face a little bit more vulnerable because they can be intimidated into that lifestyle a lot more easier than a male could. So they face that risk too. And again, I with my personal experience, I've seen over and over again that if male or female, any kind of youth, any age now, I think it's youngest 10 or 11 we're hearing that are being recruited. So at any age, if they can have a support, if they can have somebody that they can go to and speak to, they will do much better and they will decrease their possibilities of entering that kind of lifestyle.
So one question I have, I'm looking at the time too. Where does the recruitment happens? What is the hub? Where does this happen?
Yeah.
The kid go to school, my son goes to school, my daughter goes to school, they come home or I go pick them up, I bring them home, and they're only allowed to play with the friends or certain friends. But where does this recruitment take place?
To be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
It's all hearsay right now, but it seems like anywhere that there is vulnerable youth would be a good place to recruit. Now, again, more than that, I'm so focused with people. When I speak to them, I'm so focused on their inner world.
Yes.
You know, how is your emotions? How's your anxiety? What are you doing to support yourself when your mental health is lower? Like, what do you
Thank you, Shireen. If anybody wants to contact him, we can give you his contact information. 50 Women's of Options is raising funds to build a 100-bed low-cost housing for women who are fleeing abuse, homeless, or that need support. You can go to their website at 50womensofoptions.ca to donate. You'll be given a tax-deductible receipt from Options Community Services Society. Run Surrey Run will get off the ground as a virtual event on June 1st to June 15th for the inaugurational 5K 10K walk run. This walk run is organized by Gurjinder Kaur Burji. Registrations is limited to 2,000 participants for $25 each. For more information, please call her at 604-802-6703. Run Surrey Run is sponsored by RBC. Please don't forget to watch The Camilla Singh Show on Sundays at 5:30 and Mondays at 10 a.m. Fiji in Focus on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. and again on 4 p.m. on Sundays. Viti Vibes on 10 p.m. on Thursdays and again on Sundays at 4:30. If you are planning any events you would like us to promote on our show, please email us at asianpulse@gmail.com. We have run out of time. Hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I did bringing it to you. If you have any comments, suggestions, please give us a call or email us at asianpulse@gmail.com. If you want us to support our show or be a sponsor or to promote your business, please let us know as well. Before I leave you with these thoughts. I'll try to treat whoever I meet as an old friend. This gives me genuine feeling of happiness, and it is a practice of compassion. If you missed Asian Pulse today, you can catch it again at Thursdays at 8:30 and Saturdays at 5:30. And Tuesdays at 3:30 a.m., our show will be uploaded on YouTube at Asian Pulse TV. Don't forget to watch Fiji in Focus on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. and again on Sundays at 4 p.m. I'm your host, Shivangni Naiker. Have a great week. See you all next week. Stay safe and stay healthy.